Today I messed up by not locking the door of my room. So to give a little context, I am 23, live with my cousin F42 and her kids F8 and F12. The 12-year-old is in this, so we'll call her Jasmine. I consume cannabis edibles every once in a while with my friends. So I do have some in my room. To not let the kids see the flashy candy jar, I keep it in my suitcase to the side of my bed with all the not kids stuff, drugs, sexual things and the likes. Just to be sure, I always lock my room when I am gone for more than going to the toilet. Thing is, I was having supper with my friends and we were supposed to stay at the house for the evening. But at one point one of my friends said let's go to the bar and we all agreed to go. The foo is that when we left I didn't lock my bedroom door. So we went on for the night and come back the next evening since we planned on hanging out the next day and drunk us thought it would be fun to have a pajama party. When I came back, my cousin was sleeping, but Jasmine was sitting on the couch watching TV with super low volume but insanely concentrated, which is really unusual since she has ADHD and doesn't really watch TV. So when I saw her, I asked her what was going on. And she said, and I quote, "I don't feel normal, I don't know, maybe weird." So I went to drop my stuff in my room and saw my jar opened on my bed. My heart stopped for a moment. I realized that Jasmine took some ultra-high dosage THC candies. So I dropped my stuff and asked her how much she took. She said 3 or 4. To give you a reference, I don't take that much, generally 2 is the max I take and I take those fairly regularly. So I was asking myself what to do. Do I woke my cousin? She laughed and said to trip sit her daughter to not make her feel bad and to let her sleep. So for the rest of the night I had to trip sit Jasmine and got my cousin laughing at my face every time she thinks of it. Today I messed up in an English pub. As an American, I grew up reading that in England, people would pull a chain to flush their toilets. While visiting family outside of London, my cousin took me to my first real pub. After a few pints and a quick trip to the WC, I couldn't find a handle or button to flush the toilet. I saw a white cord hanging down and hazily remembered something about pulling the chain to flush. I pulled the cord to no avail. I subsequently found the actual flush button and headed out. No sooner had I switched spots in the WC with an older guy, did the bartender come banging excitedly on the restroom door, asking the man if he was okay and why he'd pulled the emergency helpline. Needless to say, they were both really confused. Today I messed up by crawling into bed naked next to my unsuspecting roommate. So this happened almost a year ago, and every time I think about it I cringe into oblivion. It's definitely one of the most embarrassing things that's ever happened to me. So last year I studied abroad and I decided to get an apartment with another girl from my home university who was going. I had only met her twice briefly before we moved, but we got along pretty well and decided to pull the trigger on a 6-month lease. We found a really nice apartment, talked about ideas for decorating it, etc. I arrived a few days before her and spent some time checking out both the bedrooms to decide which one I wanted. Then she arrived and moved her stuff into the other one. We spent a day checking out the city, and everything was going really well. But the day after she had moved in, we were checking out the city but she had been kind of quiet and put off the whole day. I remember being on the tram with her and looking at her for a few seconds and then a vague memory came back to me, and I asked her, was I in your room last night? And she said, all awkwardly, yeah. I was gonna ask you about that. And all of a sudden it hit me. I remembered waking up the night before and going to the bathroom. I had been sleeping naked because there was no AC and it was August. I was so exhausted and jet-lagged, or else I must have been sleepwalking because I genuinely only have extremely vague snippets of this memory, and I literally fucking sleepwalked into her room and crawled into her bed buck naked and just lied next to her until she asked something like are you okay? And I remember snapping awake, saying yeah and thinking this is weird, why am I not in my room right now? Then I got up and stumbled back into my room, fell right back asleep and forgot about it until the next day when I spoke to her. I have only sleepwalked a handful of other times in my life and it's usually when I'm very stressed. I guess the stress of the move and the new environment must have triggered it. Maybe I forgot which room was mine. All I know is that I was absolutely mortified, apologized profusely, explained that it was absolutely not on purpose. She seemed to take it well, but yeah, I'm pretty sure she thought I was coming onto her in the creepiest way possible that night. I felt so bad and still do. Oops. Today I messed up by not showering before cutting things off with a girl. A few years ago I was seeing a girl for a few months and I were going through a rough patch and we planned on talking about our relationship. We planned on meeting up in the park. Before I left to meet up with her I squeezed one out so I could think a bit clearer. I met her in the park and we laid together and talked about our relationship and eventually broke things off. She had her head on my stomach and was lightly stroking my belly. While she was stroking my stomach my shirt came up a bit. Oh, is that toothpaste? I looked down and realized I came all over my stomach and didn't clean it up properly. She was started to pick at it. I froze when I looked at her and she saw the look in my eyes and I realized it was too late. I couldn't even lie at this point. Oh my god, is that what I think it is? That is fucking disgusting. As she rubbed her fingers in the grass she looked at me with a horrified and disgusted gaze. I felt a deep shame. She was visibly upset and then she left and I realized that I need to start finishing into the trash can. I do not doubt for a second she told all her friends. Today I messed up by asking my partner to stop eating his own junk after the deed. I, F23, have been in a relationship with this guy, M33, for like a year. When we started dating, after a month of getting to know each other we went to his place and did the deed. Enjoyable experience overall. But, after he was done, he removed the rubber and, with very expert gestures, proceeded to drink his junk right out of it. I was shocked and confused. In my head I was like, you man, WTF? He was my first partner and I wondered if that was, kinda normal? Common? Since I used to be a people pleaser, I managed to hide my shock and disgust, and simply asked him, why did you do that? He answered me, as if it was the most obvious thing in the world, it's a lot of kilojoules of energy, I can't waste them. I was even more confused. I was literally speechless and what was being a very nice and romantical night managed to become a weird and kinda awkward situation. To make things worse, he even stated in a very dramatic tone, I will never allow anyone to eat my junk. He said that like his junk was something precious, like, if someone would ever get access to that, it was like, being able to steal his soul? It made no sense. And also, dude, nobody here is trying to steal our precious fluid, BTW, he wasn't drinking it in a kinky or erotic way or he did it like it was an extremely serious and important deal. Why drinking your own fluid must be so dramatic? We kept dating for several months and every time we had the deed, every single time, he did the same thing. I started to become very concerned, since usually inside the rubbers there's usually some lube, I guess. He even complained about the bad taste of the lube or the latex the rubber was made of. The taste of his own fluid somehow didn't bother him at all, good for him. And even if usually lube is not that toxic, I think that consuming a small amount but very often may not be the healthiest habit. Also his breath right after this ritual almost made me throw up all the times, since he even refused to brush his teeth afterwards. I didn't chew, I swallowed it in one gulp, so I don't need to brush my teeth. Ew. I tried to discreetly make him understand that his habit was grossing me out, by saying out loud ew or by covering my eyes, but he didn't get the clues. A year passed by. I had enough. I tried to confront him, but nope. He was unmovable. Neither the fact that his passion for his own fluid was making me a little uncomfortable, nor the fact that eating lube could be harmful made him stop. He then proceeded to get mad. He stated that he wasn't doing anything wrong, that he just didn't want to waste precious substances from his body and that I was making a scene for nothing. I told him about his breath and he straight up accused me of having a bad smell. I told him that by deflecting my accuse he was just making things worse, but then he interrupted me and just told me I was insufferable. Then he just left. He was extremely angry. I've never seen that side of him. I'm sure that he will tell me to pack my things and to leave. So I'm mad, confused and scared about his behavior.